This is Ben Summer. I own and operate bandslikerush.com, a music discovery podcast and blog featuring up-and-coming progressive rock bands. Enjoy this video edition of the podcast and check out my own music. Visit my website at bensummer.com. If you sign up for the email list, you'll get 3 free downloads. Hello, Ben Summer here with bandslikerush.com and my own website, bensummer.com, where you can hear more of my music. This week I speak with Simon James White, who is the frontman and namesake of the UK prog-pop band SjW. Simon's greatest asset is really his voice. He's got a pure but meaty tenor that sounds kind of like a hybrid between John Anderson and Jack Bruce, I think. He's a very good bass player too, but unlike many bass-fronted bands, his songs are balanced and guitar-driven rockers. The Rush similarity here is obviously to the early and then the late era albums. Anyway, enjoy the podcast.
There's no laughter here, like so many other places. Ooh, that you know. There's no pain or fear.
Hi, this is Ben Summer at bandslikerush.com. I'm here with Simon James White from the UK, of many different musical projects, including, I guess, his eponymous band, SjW. Simon, welcome. Why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, your music, and the band?
Thanks, Ben. It's great to be here. I'm a musician from West London originally, very much influenced and inspired by all the great kind of rock bands and progressive rock bands of the 70s and in some cases the 80s and some more up-to-date bands as well. And I write music hopefully in the styles and traditions of the bands that I very much grew up loving and admiring.
Right. So I also noticed you the website linked that in your email, bassface.co.uk.
Yep.
It seems to be kind of a hub for a lot of your other projects. I've got this Traffic Experiment band you're involved in, of course, SjW, but then you got bass lessons, guitar lessons. Are you a little mini conglomerate? What's your main kind of musical activity, do you think?
Well, I mean, my main musical activity, of course, is writing music, original rock-based music. But as you probably know, Ben, it's very difficult at the moment for musicians to exist without having lots of different arms to what they do, so to speak. So I spend my time doing things that are music related. I'm very open about these things, and part of the thing that I do is I teach. I like to work with people in other musical collaborations, and I really like to keep myself busy if I possibly can.
I hear you. What's you had a recent your latest album with SjW was this year? Or am I reading this wrong? It's going to be released this year.
Well, the new album, which is provisionally titled Heavy Cargo, we're not necessarily set on that title at the moment, but that's its working title. That's due for release this year. But the previous album, A State of Delirium, was released in 2008, and we had an album in 2006 called Talk on Corners as well. Right.
You have some notes here in the kind of the pre-release PR that you're taking a more progressive experimental turn from what I see published on iTunes and iSound and Spotify. So is that true? And if so, what's the reason for that?
What, from the Estate of Delirium album, Ben, or from the new album, the Heavy Cargo album?
It's Heavy Cargo apparently is being advertised as a more experimental, more progressive release than what you just released, I guess, in 2008. I think the State of Delirium, is that when it was released?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's been a sort of a steady growth throughout the albums in terms of opening up musical genres and the progressive side. I guess the first album wasn't a progressive record particularly, but it was never intended to be a progressive record. I already had a very healthy and progressive music at that point, but I just made a conscious decision, being the first release, that I didn't want to make it too progressive, really, for lots of reasons, but my own reasons mainly. Certainly the State of Delirium album was a step in the more progressive elements of what I do, and then of course the new album, yeah, absolutely, I've kind of decided to let it all hang out, really, and it's a slightly heavier record than the State of Delirium album. It's certainly a slightly more progressive record as well, absolutely.
Oh, cool. So, what quantify in musical terms what you mean by heavy or progressive? Well,
in terms of heavy, I suppose I speak about the production, really. We certainly went for a heavy production sound on the new record. Certainly the guitars are much heavier in terms of their tone and in terms of those kind of things. And when you combine that all together, actually what you come up with is a much thicker, much denser album. The writing is quite different on the new record. The State of Delirium album, which I don't know if you had a chance to listen to, it's quite fresh and kind of airy sounding, really, and it was specifically written like that. But this new record is structured in a very different way to that record, and lots of those, or allowing lots of those elements to come to the fore, really.
So the arrangements and the texture is more what you're referring to. I hear what you're saying. Texture, State of Delirium is pretty well balanced and not over engineered. I don't hear a million different things going on. It's very straight ahead. Is that what you meant?
Well, certainly in terms of the production of that record, yeah. Certainly texturally, this record's a lot bigger, and with the guitars, they play a much more kind of predominant sort of role in the new record as well. It's just got a lot more depth to it, just in terms of the overall production, really. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we tend to use a lot of technology in terms of what we do as well, so there's lots of sequences happening, and that again did happen on the State of Delirium album, but it was probably a little more subtle. Certainly this time we've really brought that kind of thing to the forefront of the record as well.
Let's listen to a full-length track from Simon's last album. This is called CCC.